They denied my 3 days off to bury my dad. You'll need to choose between work and family, HR said coldly. I nodded, walked out, and that night I did something that cost them $4.3 million. Hey Reddit, first time posting here. I need to get this off my chest. When my father died, I called my boss to ask for 3 days off to handle the funeral and his estate. She said I could have 1 day or, I kid you not, attend virtually. So I quit that afternoon and deleted every piece of documentation I'd built over 4 years. That move cost them about $4 million. Grab some popcorn. It gets real messy. Name's Hunter, 29 male. The call came at 7 a.m. on a Wednesday. I was halfway through my first cup of coffee when my phone lit up with a 773 area code I didn't recognize. Chicago. Probably spam. I almost let it ring out. Something made me pick up. Is this about Martin Ashford? A woman's voice? Professional? The kind that delivers bad news before she's even had her coffee. Yeah, that's my dad. I'm calling from Northwestern Memorial. I'm very sorry to inform you that Mr. Ashford passed away at 5:47 a.m. massive coronary event. The emergency team did everything they could, but the damage was too extensive. Everything after that felt like I was underwater. Heart attack. Found by a neighbor. Rushed to the ER. Died before they could even get him stabilized. Did I want to speak with the attending physician? Did I have questions about next steps? I stood there in my kitchen holding my phone, staring at the half-empty coffee pot, trying to process what I was hearing. Dad raised me and my younger brother Blake after Mom died from cancer when I was 11. He was in the Army, 22 years active duty before he retired and moved us to the South Side. Worked logistics for a shipping company after that. Never complained. Never asked for recognition. Just showed up, did the job, kept the household running like a tight ship. The house was always clean. Bills paid on time. Dinner at 6:30 sharp. He ran it the way he'd run his platoon. Structure, discipline, no excuses. I called Blake first. Had to. He was still in the city, living in some apartment in Pilsen that Dad had been helping him pay for, because Blake couldn't hold down a job longer than 6 months. He answered on the 4th ring. Voice groggy. What? Dad's dead. Heart attack this morning. Silence. Then, are you serious? Yeah. How much is he leaving us? I paused. I was telling him our father died and this is all what he was thinking about. Coming from him, I wasn't that surprised. So, I hung up. Didn't have the energy for his nonsense. Not right then. The next call was to Aunt Rita, Dad's older sister. She lived in Evanston, taught elementary school for 30 years before retiring. When I told her, she went quiet for a long time. Then she said, he never told me his heart was acting up. He wouldn't. You know how he was. When's the service? I don't know yet. I'll call the funeral home today and figure it out. Probably this weekend. I'll help with arrangements, and I'll call Pete. Your dad would want him there. Pete is my uncle. We talked for another 10 minutes. I needed to get to Dad's place. Go through his stuff. Handle the paperwork. The funeral would be Saturday or Sunday depending on what the home could do. That meant I needed at least 3 days off work. Maybe 4 if the estate stuff dragged. I hung up, grabbed my keys, drove straight to the office. The building sat in the West Loop, glass and steel. I worked for a data infrastructure firm called Northpoint. We handled enterprise migrations, analytics platforms, and reporting systems. I'd been there 4 years. Started as a junior analyst. Worked my way up to senior by doing the stuff nobody else wanted to touch. Building process documentation from scratch, because when I got there, nothing existed. Just a bunch of people winging it and hoping clients didn't catch on. I walked past the front desk, through the open floor plan, straight to Miranda's office. She was the vice president of operations, my direct boss. The kind of person who sent Slack messages at midnight and expected responses by morning. Her door was cracked. She sat behind this massive glass desk typing. I knocked. Got a minute? She looked up, didn't smile. Make it quick. I've got a call in 8 minutes. I stepped inside, stayed standing. My dad died this morning. Heart attack. I need 3 days off for the funeral. It's in Chicago, but I need time to handle his estate and... When were you thinking? Leave Friday morning, back Monday morning. She leaned back in her chair, folded her arms. You can have 1 day, Saturday, or you can attend virtually. I blinked, had to make sure I heard that right. The funeral's Saturday. I need time to go through his house, handle paperwork, meet with his lawyer. 1 day, she repeated. We're in the middle of the Meridian rollout. Everyone's expected to be here, no exceptions. That word just hung there. No exceptions. Like my dad dying was some inconvenience I should have planned around better. This is my father, I said, voice flat. He raised me since I was 11. He's a veteran. I'm not asking for a vacation. Her face didn't change. Then you'll need to decide what's more important. We all make sacrifices. That's part of being on a team. I stood there, hands in my pockets, staring at her like maybe if I waited long enough, she'd realize what she'd just said. Nope, she didn't. She turned back to her monitor and started typing again. Fine, I said. 1 day. Good. Submit the request in the system before you leave. I walked out of her office, down the hall. My chest felt tight and my hands were shaking. The rage was boiling inside me. I made it to the parking lot before it really hit me. Got in my car, sat there for 20 minutes staring at the company logo above the entrance, at all the people inside who'd run you into the ground and call it culture. Then I drove home, and the second I got through my door, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I didn't eat that night. Just sat at my desk with my laptop open, logged into the company system the way I'd done 1,000 times before. Late nights, weekends, holidays when someone's screw-up needed fixing and I was the only one who knew how. But this time was different. I opened my private directories. Not client data, not proprietary code, just my work, the infrastructure I'd built over 4 years because nobody else bothered. The documentation I'd written from scratch explaining every process, every integration, every workaround for the broken systems they refused to fix properly. Configuration blueprints for 3 major platforms. API mapping I'd created when the last guy quit without leaving notes. Troubleshooting guides I'd built after pulling all-nighters fixing disasters that shouldn't have happened. Automated scripts I'd written to handle tasks that took everyone else hours. All of it was built on my own time. And here's what made it valuable. Those runbooks were tied directly to our renewal contracts. Clients had SLA guarantees baked into their agreements. Uptime requirements, response times, penalties for failures. Without my documentation, they couldn't meet those terms. I'd done the math once out of curiosity. If 3 major clients invoked their SLA penalties simultaneously, the company would be looking at around $4 million in refunds and contract terminations. That's what they were about to lose. Not because I took their data, because I took the only thing keeping their promises intact. I thought about Dad teaching me to fix engines in the garage back when I was 15. If you build something worth keeping, he'd said, make sure nobody can take it from you without asking. That's what I'd done here. Built systems that worked. Documented everything so the place wouldn't collapse. Now I was taking it back. I started copying files. Everything. Zipped folders. Encrypted the important stuff. Organized it all on an external drive. Then I ran a cleanup script I'd written 6 months ago after someone accidentally nuked a shared directory and blamed it on server issues. Funny how useful it became. By 3:30 a.m., everything was gone. Scrubbed clean. I left a single text file in each directory. Documentation removed by original author. No recovery possible. Then I opened my email. Typed out my resignation. I'm resigning effective immediately due to personal circumstances. All personal documentation has been removed from company systems as it was created outside work hours using personal resources. Attach the letter, sent it to Miranda, her boss Dean, and HR, hit send. Close the laptop. My phone went into a drawer. I packed a bag, threw in clothes, Dad's old Army field jacket he'd given me last Christmas, and the challenge coin from his deployment to Kuwait in '91. He'd shown it to me when I was a kid. Told me it meant you never leave your people behind. I grabbed my truck keys and headed out. The drive to Dad's place took 40 minutes through early morning traffic. He lived in a small brick house in Beverly Southside. Same place he'd bought after retiring from the Army. 3 bedrooms, basement, backyard with a garage. When I pulled up, Blake's beat-up Honda was already in the driveway. That stopped me cold. I parked on the street, walked up to the front door. It was unlocked. I pushed it open and found Blake in the living room going through Dad's desk drawers. I glared at him for a minute. "What are you doing?" I asked. He looked up. Didn't even look guilty. "Same thing you're about to do. Looking for the will. He's been dead 8 hours." Blake shrugged. "Yeah, and we need to know what we're dealing with. This house alone is worth like $400,000, plus whatever he had in the bank." I stepped inside. Closed the door. "Get out. I have as much right to be here as you do." "No, you don't, because you didn't call him for 6 months before this. You didn't help him when his back went out last year. You didn't show up for anything unless you needed money." He stood up. "Don't act like you're better than me just because Dad liked you more." I walked past him, started checking the desk. "Leave. Now." "Or what?" I turned, looked at him dead in the eyes, didn't say a word. He grabbed his keys. "Whatever. I'll see you at the funeral. We can talk about splitting things then." He left. The door slammed behind him. I stood there for a minute, trying to keep my head level. Then my phone buzzed. I'd forgotten I'd turned it back on. The screen lit up like a fireworks display. 15 missed calls. A dozen voicemails. Texts coming in rapid fire. I checked the first voicemail. Dean, Miranda's boss. "Hey, we noticed some critical files are missing. Could you give us a call when you get this?" Second one. Miranda. Tight voice. Panic. "We're escalating this with IT. If this was accidental, we need clarification immediately." Third one. Dean again. Voice sharper. "This isn't how professionals handle resignation. We need those files restored. Call me." I slid the phone back in my pocket. Kept looking. Dad's desk was organized like everything else in his life. Files in labeled folders, bills sorted by month, a 3-ring binder labeled important documents sitting in the top drawer. I opened it. Found his will. Life insurance policy. Deed to the house. Bank statements. Everything I needed. The will was straightforward. Everything split 60-40. Me and Blake. But there was a clause at the bottom. Handwritten. Dated 3 months ago. Blake's portion contingent on employment for minimum 6 consecutive months at time of my death. If not met, full estate to older son. Clipped to the back page was a memo from Dad's lawyer, documenting the discussion and Dad's explicit reasoning. Contemporaneous notes. Dated the same day. That would kill any undue influence claim before it started. I read it twice. Dad had updated this recently. He'd known Blake was messing around, and he'd made sure I wouldn't have to fight him for it. I took photos of everything, sent them to Aunt Rita. She'd need them for the lawyer. My phone buzzed again. Another call. I ignored it. Started going through the rest of the house. By Thursday afternoon, I'd been through most of Dad's house. The man kept everything organized like he was still running a supply depot. His bedroom closet had his old uniforms. Dress blues, BDUS, boots polished so clean you could see your reflection. On the top shelf sat a cardboard box labeled Deployment, Kuwait 91. I pulled it down, opened it on his bed. Photos, letters, a journal he'd kept, maps with routes marked, a folded American flag. I sat there looking through it all, realizing how little I actually knew about that part of his life. He never talked about it much, just said he did logistics, made sure his guys had what they needed. There were photos of him with his unit, young, maybe 30, standing in front of trucks in the desert, grinning despite the dust and heat. One photo showed him handing out mail to soldiers. Another showed him working on an engine. Same look on his face he'd have years later when he was teaching me to change my truck's oil. Then, my phone started ringing. Again, I checked the screen. Miranda. I declined it. 2 minutes later, another call. Dean. Declined. Then a text from someone in IT asking if I could hop on a quick call. I turned the phone off. That evening, Aunt Rita came by. She brought food. Casserole from her neighbor. Said people were already asking what they could do to help. We sat at Dad's kitchen table. She looked around the house like she was seeing it for the first time. He kept this place spotless. Always did. Your mother would have been proud of him, raising you boys alone. Never let this place fall apart. I didn't mention Blake showing up. Didn't need to drag her into that yet. I called the funeral home, she said. They can do Saturday at 2 p.m. St. Barnabas. Same church where we did your mom's service. I'm handling the flowers. Your Uncle Pete is flying in tomorrow night. He'll stay with me. Thank you. She reached across the table, put her hand on mine. He talked about you all the time. Every time I saw him. Said you were the smartest one in your whole company. Said they didn't deserve you. That hit harder than I expected. What happened? She asked. I told her. All of it. She listened. Didn't interrupt. When I finished, she nodded. Your father would have done the same thing, she said. He didn't tolerate people treating him like he was disposable. You shouldn't either. Friday morning, I turned my phone back on. 43 missed calls now. The voicemails had changed, started professional, got desperate. The most recent one was from Dean. Look, we understand you're going through something. We want to help, but we're in a serious situation here. Meridian can't complete their rollout. Reports are failing across the board. We need you to at least point us in the right direction. I sat at Dad's kitchen table, made coffee, thought about it. Then I opened my laptop, drafted an email. Subject, consulting services available body. I'm willing to provide limited consulting to assist with the Meridian rollout. Rate is $275 per hour. 25-hour minimum, paid up front via wire transfer. Calls limited to 2 hours per day based on my availability. I'll send contract terms once payment clears. I attached my business information from the consulting setup I'd created a year ago when I started thinking about leaving. Hit send. Then I closed the laptop and went back to packing up Dad's garage. The garage was where he spent most of his free time. Workbench along the back wall. Tools organized on pegboards. Everything labeled. Boxes of screws and nails sorted by size. A rolling toolbox that had to be 40 years old but still worked perfect. I found a wooden box on the bench. Unlocked. Inside were baseball cards. Hundreds of them. Rubber banded by year. He'd collected them since he was a kid. Underneath the cards was an envelope, my name written on it. I opened it. Inside was a letter, dated 2 weeks ago. If you're reading this, something happened. I've been having chest pains. Haven't told anyone. Probably should have gone to the doctor. But I wanted to write this first. You turned out better than I ever hoped. Smart. Tough. Fair. Everything I tried to teach you stuck. I'm proud of you. Your brother's a different story. I love him, but he's got to figure things out on his own. I changed the will 3 months ago. You'll see why when you read it. Don't feel guilty about it. He's had every chance. The house is paid off. Life insurance will cover the rest. Take care of your aunt. She looked after you boys more than you know. And don't let anyone treat you like you're replaceable. You're not. Remember that. No signature. Just his initials. I folded the letter, put it back in the envelope, sat there on the garage floor for a while. And darn it, I cried. For the first time since I got the news. Then I wiped my tears and got up. Finished organizing his tools. Loaded the ones I wanted into my truck. My phone buzzed. Email notification. Payment confirmed. Wire transfer received. $6,875. They'd paid. I opened my laptop. Sent the contract. Scheduled the first call for Monday morning. Then I went back to the house and started getting ready for the funeral. Saturday came cold and gray. Chicago in February. Wind cutting through everything. I put on the only suit I owned. Black. St. Barnabas looked the same as I remembered from Mom's funeral. Stone exterior. Tall stained glass windows. I got there early. Helped Aunt Rita set up the photo boards. Pictures of Dad through the years. Army days. Wedding photos with Mom. Me and Blake as kids. Him at his retirement party from the shipping company. One photo showed him holding me as a baby. A huge grin on his face. He carried that in his wallet, Aunt Rita said, pointing at it. Took it out whenever anyone asked about his kids. People started arriving around 1:30. Dad's old army buddies. Guys he'd worked with at the shipping company. Neighbors from the block. More people than I expected. One older guy walked up to me. Buzz cut gone gray. Firm handshake. Your dad saved my life in Kuwait. Convoy got hit. He pulled me out of a burning truck. Never talked about it. Never wanted recognition. Just did it. Another guy added, he covered my logistics desk for 3 months when my wife was sick. Worked double shifts, wouldn't take any thanks. My brother? He showed up at 1:45, wearing a wrinkled button-down and jeans. Stood in the back. Didn't talk to anyone. The service started at 2. The pastor gave a short sermon about service and sacrifice. Aunt Rita spoke. Told stories about Dad as a kid. How he'd wanted to join the army since he was 12. How proud their parents had been when he enlisted. Uncle Pete went next. Told a story about Dad teaching him to drive stick shift in a parking lot when they were teenagers. How patient he was. Then it was my turn. I stood up, walked to the front, looked out at everyone, started talking, told them about Dad teaching me to fix my first car, how he'd made me do all the work while he stood there giving instructions, how when I finally got it running, he just nodded and said, "Good work." Told them about the time he drove 6 hours to pick me up from college when my truck broke down. Never complained, just showed up. Told them how he ran the house like a CO runs a unit, and how he never left anyone behind. My voice cracked on that last part. I stopped, took a breath, finished, sat back down. After the service, we drove to Mount Greenwood Cemetery, south side, where Mom was buried. They'd reserved a plot right next to hers. The wind cut right through me. Everyone stood around the grave while the pastor said final words. They lowered the casket. The military honor guard did the flag ceremony, folded it, handed it to me. Aunt Rita squeezed my shoulder. "He's with your mom now." I nodded, couldn't speak. After everyone left, I stayed. Stood there looking at the fresh dirt, the temporary marker with his name and dates. Blake walked over. "We need to talk about the house," he said with a low voice. "Not now." "When then?" "I need to know what I'm getting." I turned to look at him. "You're getting nothing." He froze. "What?" "Dad changed the will. Your share was conditional. You had to be employed for 6 months. You weren't. It's all mine." His face went red. "That's illegal." "It is. Talk to Rita's lawyer if you don't believe me." "You can't just..." "Yeah, I can." He stepped closer. "Don't think I'll be taking this BS. I'm contesting it." "Go ahead. Waste your money on a lawyer. The will's clear." Dad made sure of it. He stood there, fists clenched. "You're just like him. Cold, heartless." "No, I'm exactly like him. And that's why he left it to me." "You know what? Screw you both. He'd always been such..." Before he could finish the word, I grabbed him hard from his shirt. "Don't you dare. One more word and I will break your jaw." His eyes were wide. I pushed him, watched him stumble and walk off. I turned back to the grave, stood there another 20 minutes, told Dad about the job, about Miranda, about walking out, about making them pay for every hour they demanded from me for free. "You would have told me to stay professional," I said out loud, "but you also taught me not to let people use me. So I'm calling this even." The wind picked up, rattled the branches on the bare trees. For a second, I swore I could hear him telling me I did the right thing. That night, my phone exploded again. Miranda, Dean, someone from legal. Even the CEO sent a message asking if we could find a path forward. I ignored all of them. Opened my laptop. Scheduled Monday's call. 2 hours. $550. They'd get exactly what they paid for and nothing more. Then, I went to bed in Dad's house. Slept in my old room. First decent sleep I'd had since the call on Wednesday morning. Monday morning. 9 a.m. sharp. I logged into the video call from the kitchen table. Every single person on their leadership team was on the call. Miranda, Dean, the CEO, Chuck, head of IT, head of legal, even someone from finance. Chuck spoke first. "First, we want to express our condolences for your loss. We should have handled this better." I sipped my coffee, waited. Dean jumped in. "We're in a critical situation with Meridian. The rollout is stuck. Reporting dashboards are down. They're threatening to pull the contract." "That sounds serious." Miranda leaned forward. "We need your help to get this across the finish line. That's why you paid for consulting. So let's get started." I shared my screen, pulled up documentation they'd never bothered to read, started walking them through every broken integration, every misconfigured database connection, every shortcut someone had taken that was now causing everything to fall apart. "This process here?" I pointed at a workflow diagram. "I flagged this in November, sent an email with screenshots showing the timeout errors. Nobody fixed it. Now it's hitting 5 client accounts." Dean tried to move things along. "Can we skip the history and just focus on solutions?" "No. You're paying for my time. I'm going to explain why things broke, so you understand how to prevent it next time." He shut up. I kept going. One system at a time. The API mapping that someone had altered without documentation. The reporting scripts that failed because someone deleted the error handling to save processing time. The backup protocols that didn't exist because nobody wanted to pay for proper infrastructure. An hour in, nobody was arguing anymore. Just typing, taking notes, looking like people trying to defuse a bomb they'd accidentally armed. At the 2-hour mark, I stopped. "That's time." Chuck spoke up. "We're going to need more sessions. Can you do this again tomorrow?" "Send the payment. I'll send the invite." Miranda tried one more time. "Is there any chance you'd consider coming back? Even temporarily?" "No." "What would it take?" I thought about it. About Dad's letter. About the way they'd treated me. "Nothing you can offer." The call ended. Over the next few days, I did 4 more sessions. Same rate, same structure. Walked them through everything they needed to salvage Meridian. Fixed what I was willing to fix. Left the rest for them to figure out on their own. Each call, they looked worse. Dean stopped trying to sound authoritative. Miranda stopped making demands. Chuck stopped asking if I'd reconsider. On the last call, Wednesday afternoon, Chuck cleared his throat. Before we finish, I want to make you an offer. Here we go. We've been discussing this internally. We'd like to bring you back as Director of Infrastructure. You'd have your own team. 4 people reporting to you to start. Direct line to me. No more dealing with middle management. He paused. 60% salary increase. Full remote. Stock options. Bonuses tied to retention, not just performance. Miranda added, you'd have budget authority. Hiring decisions. Complete autonomy over your domain. The line went quiet. I looked at my dad's photo on the wall. You're not offering this because I earned it over 4 years, I said. You're offering it because you're panicking. Chuck started to object. That's not entirely... Don't. I was useful to you for 4 years, but you never treated me like I mattered until everything fell apart. I had to resign and take my documentation just to get your attention. Miranda looked down, silent. My father died, I said, and your first reaction was to tell me to choose between my job and burying him. Not once did you ask if I was okay. Not once did you treat it like a human being dealing with a loss. You waited until I walked out to suddenly care. Dean started to say something. I kept going. Now you want to promote me? Give me a team? Pay me what I've been worth this whole time? Because you finally realized I'm not replaceable. Chuck's face was stone. We're trying to do right by you now. 4 years too late. Is there any version of this that works? No. Because it's not about the title or the money. It's about the fact that you had to lose everything to realize what I was doing for you. And I'm not interested in working for people who only value me when I'm gone. Long silence. Nobody knew what to say. The Meridian rollout is your problem now. You've got the documentation you need. Figure it out. I ended the call. Then I got up, walked out to the garage, started sorting through Dad's tools, deciding what to keep, what to donate, what to give to Uncle Pete. My phone buzzed. Text from Blake. We need to talk about the house. I'm not giving up. I typed back. The will's filed. The lawyer confirmed it. You're done. Move on. He responded immediately. I'm getting my own lawyer. Good luck. You'll waste your time. We'll see. I put the phone down, kept working. I thought about the letter, about how he'd known Blake wasn't going to change, about how he'd made sure I wouldn't have to fight for what he wanted me to have. The man had taken care of everything, even from the grave. That night, Aunt Rita called. Blake showed up at my house, demanded to see the will. What did you tell him? That his father gave him every chance, that he's not entitled to anything. He slammed my door on the way out. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Thanks for handling that. Your brother's going to have to figure out life on his own terms, just like you did. We talked for a while longer, about the funeral, about Dad's friends, about how many people showed up, about how much he was respected. When we hung up, I sat in the garage for another hour. The pendant he'd started making me sat on the workbench. Walnut. Half finished. I picked up some sandpaper and kept working on it. Smoothed the edges. Shaped it the way he would have. Drilled a hole. Threaded leather cord through it. Some things you finish for yourself. Some things you finish for the people who can't anymore. Thursday morning, I got an email from someone I'd helped once. Junior analyst named Ben, who'd reached out when his reports weren't pulling correctly. I'd spent 3 hours after work walking him through it. Never asked for anything in return. Subject line, thought you should know. Meridian pulled their contract. 2 other clients are reviewing their options. Miranda got reassigned. Dean's on thin ice. Thought you'd want to hear it from someone who wasn't trying to spin it. No signature. Just that. I felt satisfied. That afternoon, Blake showed up at the house. Again. Didn't knock. Just used the spare key Dad had given him years ago and walked in like he owned the place. I was in the kitchen making lunch when I heard the door. You need to leave, I said. This is my father's house. I have a right to be here. No, you don't. Not anymore. He walked into the kitchen, leaned against the counter. I talked to a lawyer. He says the employment clause might not hold up. Then let him argue it in court. You'll still lose. You're really going to keep everything? Yeah. Mom would have wanted us to split it. I looked at him. Don't talk about Mom. You barely remember her. And Dad made his choice. You want to know why he cut you out? Because you've been coasting for 10 years. Borrowing money. Skipping family dinners. Showing up only when you needed something. His jaw tightened. I had things going on. Everyone has things going on. Difference is some people show up anyway. You didn't. So that's it? Yes, that's it. He stood there, fists clenched, face red. For a second, I thought he might take a swing, but he didn't. Just grabbed his keys and walked out. Door slammed. I went back to my sandwich. That night, Aunt Rita called again. Blake's lawyer contacted the estate attorney. Wants to contest the will based on undue influence. Which means he's claiming your father wasn't in his right mind when he updated the will. That someone pressured him into it. That's garbage. I know. So does the lawyer. We've got medical records showing your father was completely competent. Plus, the lawyer who drafted the will documented everything. It won't go anywhere, but it'll drag things out for a few months. Let it. I'm not settling. Friday afternoon, I got another call from North Point. Different number this time. Someone from their executive team I'd never met. Wanted to explore options for ongoing partnership. I didn't call back. Saturday morning, I started moving Dad's stuff into storage. Sorted what to keep, what to donate, what to sell. The house would go on the market once Blake's lawyer nonsense was settled. Until then, I'd hold on to it. In the basement, I found more boxes. Old tax returns. Receipts. Documents going back 30 years. Dad had kept everything. One box had letters from Mom, written before she got sick. Dad had saved all of them. I sat on the floor reading them. Her handwriting, Her voice. Little pieces of who she was that I'd forgotten or never knew. One letter was addressed to me and Blake, dated 6 months before she died. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I want you to know that your father is the strongest man I've ever met. Take care of each other. And remember that family isn't just blood. It's doing the hard things when nobody's watching. I put it back. Closed the box. Realized Blake had probably never read this. Probably never looked through any of Dad's stuff. Just wanted the money. That was the difference. Sunday evening, I was finishing up in the garage when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me. This is Jordan from Cascade Systems. Got your name from Ben at North Point. He said you're available for consulting work. Depends on the project. We're a smaller firm, about 30 people, infrastructure and analytics. We're growing fast and need someone who can build out our documentation and processes. Looking for a long-term hire. What's the structure? Senior infrastructure architect. You'd build your own team. Report directly to me. I'm the CTO. No layers of management, no corporate nonsense. We work remote. We treat people like adults. I thought about it. Send me the details. Will do. And Ben mentioned your father passed recently. I'm sorry. Take whatever time you need. If this moves forward, we'll work around your schedule. That caught me off guard. Appreciate that. Family comes first. That's not just something we say. We mean it. We talked for another 20 minutes. He explained the company, the projects, the culture. No buzzwords, no corporate speak, just straight talk. When we hung up, I sat in the garage for a while. Thought about what Dad would have said. Probably something like, don't jump at the first offer, but don't ignore a good opportunity either. So I opened my laptop, replied to Jordan's email, said I'd take a look at the details and we could schedule a follow-up call next week. Then I put on Dad's old army jacket, walked outside into the cold February night. I put the phone away, went back inside, started packing up the last of the garage. My phone buzzed. Email from Jordan. Contract details attached. Salary competitive. Remote work. Team autonomy. No micromanagement. Start date flexible. I saved it to review later. 3 months later, I was sitting in Dad's old garage. My garage now. Working on a bookshelf I'd been building from some walnut boards I'd found in his storage. Blake's lawyer had officially dropped the case 2 weeks prior. Undue influence claim went nowhere. Will stood as written. Estate was settled. House would go on the market next month. I'd keep the garage. The tools. The important stuff. I hadn't heard from Blake since. Aunt Rita said he moved to Milwaukee. Got a job in a warehouse. Stopped asking about the inheritance. Maybe he'd finally figured out that nobody owed him anything. The job at Cascade turned out to be exactly what Jordan described. Small team. Good people. Actual respect for work-life balance. I'd built out their documentation systems from scratch. Hired 2 people to help. On my desk sat a framed photo of Dad in his army uniform. Next to it was Mom's letter. My phone buzzed. Email from Ben at North Point. Subject line. Update. Miranda got let go. Dean took a position somewhere else. They hired 3 people to replace you. Still haven't recovered from Meridian. Just thought you'd want to know. I read, didn't respond. That chapter was closed. That evening, Jordan called. Wanted to discuss expanding my team. Said we'd landed 2 major clients and needed more infrastructure support. Asked if I had recommendations for who to hire. I'll put together a list, I said. No rush. Just let me know next week. We talked about the projects, about the company's growth, about how things were going. I thought about the whole mess with North Point. About Miranda telling me to choose. About walking out. About taking what was mine. About making them pay. And I realized something. The strongest move wasn't revenge. It was walking away with everything they didn't realize they needed, and watching them scramble in the silence I left behind. Some things are worth more than a paycheck, worth more than a title, worth more than keeping the peace. Your time, your dignity, your self-respect. And the people who can't see that don't deserve any of it.